Howdy Banger fans, Blayne Smith welcoming you to another episode of Overkill Global Season 2, Banger's international heavy metal review show. Boy, I love doing these, and this week I don't know if I've been more in love, because we're taking a trip down Mexico way to do speed metal. I'm excited. I've got 5, and boy was it hard to pick 5 albums here for you. We'll be hearing from a local expert, and we're just gonna go nuts for Mexican speed metal. Yes. We're also gonna go nuts for you, our viewers, because you guys support us. We really appreciate it. At the end of the video, there will be some of your shout outs from our Patreon donors for what you think are great essential albums from the scene that you love. So, what are some Mexico fun facts? Well, I always like to point this out. Mexico is the 4th most biodiverse country in the world. And you know, as a filthy vegan, I'm gonna get excited about biodiversity. It's also one of the most diverse countries for language. While you'd assume Spanish is the official language, it's not the official language. There's no official language. There are 68 officially recognized languages though. That's crazy. And as a personal anecdote, when I was a kid, my uncle went on vacation to Mexico and never came back. Not in like a sad murder way. He's down there, he's got a wife, he's got kids, he's doing great, he loves it. So hell yeah, Mexico. So, what do we know about this scene? Well, I went looking for Mexican speed metal, and oh my god, compared to any of the other videos I did, I found so many obscure gems, and there was a really dedicated community on YouTube putting a lot of these albums up so I could even find them and hear them. So while there might not technically be a formal scene where I can go, blank started it and this was the hotbed town, there is an embarrassment of riches, and it's an essential genre in metal's history. And let's just talk about some Mexican speed metal already. And to start talking about Mexican speed metal, we're always going to defer to an expert. At Banger, we respect expertise, and I can research as much as I want, but someone boots on the ground down there in the mix is gonna be able to give you the most authentic look. So let's throw to them.
Hola a todos, yo soy Rayo Nocturno, soy de México y toco la guitarra y canto en Black Track. Black Track es una banda de heavy speed cosmic metal. En México, la escena en el país es algo muy chido. Existen las bandas de los 80s que se volvieron a reunir. Existen las nuevas leyendas que nos inspiraron a nosotros. Existe nuestra generación, cuando salimos nosotros y más bandas. Tiene algo peculiar porque no somos de familias adineradas, no somos niños ricos, no fuimos a escuelas de música. Los toquines son muy underground. Que elegir una banda de mi región se llama Nuclear Black. Este disco es su primer álbum de larga duración. Salió en 2020. Es como una combinación de speed, thrash, con punk, con black. Y tienen un sonido muy peculiar. Lo recomiendo mucho. Pongan atención a lo que se hace en México. No se van a arrepentir.
So hey, there we go. You heard from our expert. Now it's time to hear what 5 albums I picked. As a reminder, these are in chronological, not some sort of power ranking. We just want to do, you know, a little look through time. And these are not the 5 most important. We're not disrespecting any bands out there. These were just a cool cross-section of the scene and 5 that really got my pulse pumping, which is what good speed metal does. The first album up is an album that I'm willing to bet you haven't heard, because I sure as hell haven't heard it either. Nox Kruent. It was a demo just on a tape. It came out at some point in 1984. It looked like it was just on a Maxwell tape, so there definitely wasn't a label involved. gonna sit here and act like I know absolutely anything about this band. I was simply looking at all the speed metal bands on Metal Archives, and I saw, hey, that logo and that photo of the band is amazing. I have to hear this. And I found the 2 songs on YouTube, so I guess there is a following out there, and let me just tell you what I was able to find out of the band first. They formed in 1982. They existed until 1985, and then they changed their name to Kafra and are still releasing material today, with their last album coming in 2019. Though only the vocalist from Nox Kruent remains in that band still. But bassist Carlos Alvarez, went on to be in the infamous Mexican shock rock band Cuca. There's some pedigree here, but yeah, so I did a quick Google and I found one of the tracks from the demo on YouTube, Bloody Night, and I was immediately smiling from ear to ear. It sounds like old Mexican rock that I had heard, you know, on a radio while visiting Mexico, but with an absolutely infectious level of heavy metal swagger. Then I heard Guerrero de la Noche, which I just played for you, and I was absolutely sold. I swear I could hear that these dudes would still be playing music today from that song. Both tracks have an insanely catchy guitar hook for an obscure Mexican demo that I essentially found lying on the ground, and I would legit sing along with these tracks while I was writing this video. Bloody night, can't quite tell what he's saying in here. Bloody, bloody night. And can I just mention that this is a Mexican demo recorded in a 1984, and while it's a little rough, the recording quality is leagues above Exciter's first demo from 1982. What? That makes no sense. So absolutely loved it. 3.5 out of 5 skewered skulls from the logo. Too good, too good. Next up, we have a band that I was definitely able to find more out about and seems like one of the key bands in the scene. Six Beer, yeah, I'm definitely putting a band named Six Beer in there. Lengua de Serpiente came out March 14th, 1989 on EMI Capital de Mexico, but I have also read, because there was a bunch of information, that they just pressed the record with EMI, with scraping together all their pesos, and that was actually an independent release, so question mark on that. Porque la música se volvió metálica, metálica, metálica. But yeah, thank God this band is good, because I just physically would have had to include a band named Six Beer, regardless of what they sounded like. And so, God, it's so good. It's so fun. This is a band that would form in 1983, and despite a 3-year hiatus in the 90s, they're also still together today, with their last album coming in 2007. You want to know what's even crazier? The core of this band is 3 brothers, and I believe 2 more brothers have played in the band over the course of its existence. That's amazing. And this record is from the 4-brother era. That's cool. And then look at this photo of them then and now. How does not fill you with metal joy? So this thing has that great early, is it speed, is it heavy, is it thrash vibe going on? And it's basically just brimming with fun energy. The vibe, especially in Gerardo Mendoza Rangel, one of the brothers, vocals, is a little more on the thrash side of things, but the guitars frequently have a great heavy metal feel to them, especially in the solos, like that one from Metallica I just played. And I don't think that's a song about Metallica. I think that's just them, you know, different language. Oh yeah, and every song has a great solo that sounds really different too. Terror Nocturno has a more wild and aggressive thrash metal solo to go with. El Fin Esta Cersa has a slow part leading into a more almost like whimsical solo. From what I can tell, this is a real beloved hidden gem from the Mexican scene, and I totally get why. It's only 21 minutes, but I love every track. And like I said, the degree of musicianship here is top notch, and they clearly went all out getting it recorded good, which is very weird for this show, especially in the first 2 albums, if you've watched any other episodes. So, easy 5 out of 5 skulls from the logo again. They're killing me with these logos. I love them. So, up next, we have our first true pure speed record with Vixit, El Poder del Metal. Came out in 1991, independent release. You know the deal. Now you'll know what they sound like. So yeah, this is another weird little gem, and like I said, just straight speed metal this time around. So again, I also don't know a lot about this band. They formed in 1988. They broke up at some point. This album came out in 1991, so I assume they broke up after that, but honestly, who knows? 2 of the dudes played in some other hella cool early Mexican metal bands that I found, like Marduk, not that Marduk, that I also would have featured here. This, again, is a record that does seem to have a cult following, though, as it is on YouTube. There's a couple of threads about it on Heavy Metal Rarities, and there's a copy up on Discogs for €100 right now. Why? Why do you people do this? I can absolutely see why you'd want to pay €100 for it again. This is a super, super unique record. When it's fast, it is really, really, really fast, which you obviously want out of your speed metal. And it really makes you want to be just driving in a car fast, maybe a convertible, wind blowing through your hair, or if you own a convertible, your lack of hair, you know, whatever. Just feeling like a champion, regardless of how much hair you have. And the reason I say it's fast is because it's also really experimental with tempos, and it kind of has some slow, somber, atmospheric parts. Because these tracks are mostly 5 to 6 minutes, and you know, speed, it's hard to maintain that for that long. You'll get that slow part, but then in'll come Cesar Gonzalez M on drums, who, by the way, crushes it all over the record. He really nails a perfectly fun, quick gallop, but then hits those tempo changes just great. Nothing about it sounds amateur, which is amazing for, again, a record that is just totally buried in the earth. Whoa, what's this? And with those tempo changes, just single, we're off to the races, and we get that speed I was talking about earlier. Vocalist Jose Antonio Oropeza Esparza, sorry, as always, frequently goes for the highs. Sometimes he hits them, sometimes not so much, but when he doesn't, it's in a way that, as I always say, with this kind of stuff, makes me chuckle more than cringe. So, you know, if anything, it just adds character. And that's why I can give this an easy 4.5 out of 5 skulls. And you think I can't use a skull from this album cover, but some of the guys were in Marduk, and Marduk has a great, great skull on one of the records. So, boom! That skull in there. Up next, we've got Split Heaven with Psycho Samurai. It came out in 2008 on Blower Records. Unfortunate label name. By now, you might be thinking I'm picking all these records just based on album cover, and no, you'd be partially right. Split Heaven formed in 2003, and guess what? Still active Mexican speed metal, baby. This was their first full length, with their most recent being in 2016. Off the top, this is the most heavy metal of our speed metal, which will jump out at you from song titles like The Wizard, Iron Witch, and of course, Psycho Samurai. But if you doubt these guys can give you speed during the course of the album, then they'll come flying out with an album closer like Steel Liver. Take your drinks and sing, nothing else matters. Fuck all, piss all, raise your beer and scream. Steel Liver! Woo. While other bands slow down towards the end of their records, these guys sped up and declare that they are alcohol invincible. That's good stuff. While I definitely wish the whole album was just the fast tracks, it's just because the fast tracks can really blast. So the slower heavy metal jams aren't quite as impactful, but they still have great solos. They're a nice thematic package that really fits with the lyrics, and they still inject elements of speed in there that are really fun, totally wild, and again, nice, juicy, long solos. The one on Iron Witch is just shy of a full minute mark. That is a fifth of the song's running time. So that's why I'm giving it 4 out of 5 skulls from their 2016 album, Death Rider, which also has a great cover with a skull on it. So let's get that guy in there. Thus, we come to our final album. And we almost come up to today because Hatewölf, Somos de la Noche came out April 30th, 2021. That's so close. It was an independent release. Take us out, boys.
La última carta se ha lanzado a completar tu imperial. Mira sin miedo que este juego has ganado ya. Has aprendido que si arriesgas no todo sale tan mal. Y en el peor de los casos, una lección ha de quedar. Lanza la apuesta sin temor a lo que pueda pasar.
Does our final album hold up the high standard of album art that this video has set so far? You bet your ass it does. Mwah! I love you. So this is a fun new little band that I've been keeping an eye on for a minute. The only reason they weren't gonna go in here is because despite the fact that I'm getting ahead of myself, while formed in 2013, this is actually their very first record. And as a funny anecdote about their very first record, if you go to their Bandcamp page, it'll say it came out on April 30th, but I messaged them on May 23rd because it hadn't released yet, and then conveniently, they messaged me back and said it was releasing the next day. I'm filming this on the 27th of May. Do you understand? I wanted to include this album regardless, but I didn't think I was going to get to, and so I had another album going in here, and then I remembered those guys vandalized a graveyard and it fucked up the recording of a previous banger video. So, Mexican speed metal, baby. I love it. No, I had filmed it at home, and I'd sent it in, and it got edited, and you sent it back to me, and then that day, they vandalized a graveyard. But boy, am I glad that ridiculous story happened, because this record is a jam, and I do love sampling different aspects of the genre and not just going 5 straight speed records through. And so we've got some great punk-infused speed. What that means is we get a great D-beat gallop to frequently provide the background for what are always total fast ripper tracks. The ineptcy flag is waving high here, and as a proud Canadian, I love to see that band's influence make it down 2 borders and spawn some more great music. Guitar leads have a great maximum speed rock and roll sound to them, and while as a result of this, if you're looking for virtuoso soloing, this isn't going to be the album on the list to turn to. I think the quality of the guitar parts makes up for what they lack in technicality. Just because they're not technical writers doesn't mean they're not great writers, and they can't write a hell of a hook that'll get in there and not let go like it's goddamn Pinheads. The hook, like the hook's Pinheads, you know, with the fit. Okay. Plus, this is going to be the record you want to come to as a bass player, because we have chunky bass action coming clear through the whole thing. We even get 2 bass song intros. What a rarity. What a rare find. Lyrically, I have no idea what's going on because the whole thing's in Spanish, which I do love. And there are two words, though, in English that I understand, and they are whiskey and commando. And they are sung together, whiskey commando. You know what a whiskey commando has? An iron liver. And they're getting 4 out of 5 skulls, and the skull is from the werewolf's belt. I did it! All 5, baby! Woo, woo, woo! Thus we come to our intellectual conclusion. And what did we learn while going through this? Well, we learned that Mexican speed metal bands never break up. Ever! Which I think really speaks to the straight love and passion that's impossible to not hear on all 5 of these records, as well as all the records I heard. And what we also learned is don't flex with the Mexican speed cover art game because it is off the hook. And I also personally learned of so many more bands that I didn't get to talk about. There were a ton of albums. I could do another video. I could seriously do another 5. And I think that's more than any Overkill Global I've done. So hell yeah, Mexico. Thumbs up from me. And you know who else you're getting a thumbs up from? Our Patreon donors who are shouting out some of Mexico's essential speed metal bands. From Abelardo Mayoral, Mexican speed metal is the best. I love classics. Aggressor, heavier than metal, says survival, good speed metal band. Hole Puncher, I'm gonna hit the hole puncher so that it slides through. Violent Hex from Mexico City are pretty damn good. So is Countess, but they haven't released anything since about 2019. Hey, that's totally cool on Overkill Global, man. We're all about that here. Der Tottersking says Mortuary are cool. And that was our video. As always, what do we get right? What do we get wrong? What are the bands we missed? Are you living in Mexico, living in the speed metal zone? Tell us about it. I want to hear from you. You know, I'll be down in the mix with you. Thanks so much for coming out. We appreciate it. Bye-bye.